You're listening to the AI Moment with me, Jonathan Wagstaffe.
And me, Danny Denhardt.
And today we're going to look at OpenAI's consumer activity and how we think that might evolve through 2026. They started with some moves in this direction last year. I think Dan and I both think it's going to accelerate. But Dan, why don't you fill us in on how you see OpenAI's 2026 moves?
Sure. So ChatGPT, which is essentially the interface most of us are aware of with OpenAI, they've released a memo and information about health integration. And the too long didn't read is they want to become a utility for you in the health space. So they know that there's a large number of users who use it to gain health information, recommendations, and improve their health literacy, basically. And what they've wanted to do is pull in all the different integrations from your fitness apps, your Whoop bands, all the different things that you might use and have health scores on or health information on, become the integration hub. So then it can inform you with much better decisions around health. That's one part of it. And the second part is they've been talking around, and their CEO of consumer, whose name is Fidji Simo, has talked around and released an internal memo externally and basically said they're going to want to become the super assistant that you choose to use whenever you can. So they're designing it so you don't spend all your time in it and constantly talk to it. It's actually there to be the most useful for when you need it and be the most accurate thing that you can use. So that's kind of where they've landed. Where Jonathan and I have been talking is actually how they can build something that becomes not just a utility, as in something you use a lot and all the time. It's something that, as Jonathan said, and I'm going to steal, is reduce your cognitive load, and it's going to offer you more over less time. So that's the sort of usage patterns and the direction of travel they're going. And I'll just give you a quote that they said, and it might help with the follow-on, Jonathan, is this explicitly does not mean this app people spend the most time on. It should be the app that delivers the most value. And I think that's a really driving statement internally and externally. What do you think about their future and the direction they're going in?
Yeah, I think you broadly called it there, Dan, and I think we're not far from some kind of wearable. Clearly, the investments they made last year, some of the people they're working with, you're talking about a wearable, and so the current state of AI with OpenAI, ChatGPTs, is a highly intelligent reactive vehicle. So you ask it to do something, and it does very clever things back. And the better the question you ask it, the more clever the answers it gives you back. But I think what they're moving towards is AI that does three things: that it is persistent, so it will be with you, in either a sleepy mode or awake mode all the time because it's on some kind of wearable. It's contextual, so it understands the context of what's going on at the moment, and it's personalized, so it learns you more and more. This is in their ideal world. It learns more and more about you and the context where you are and the fact you need it there, which means it then becomes a proactive tool that can support your decision-making around work, around health, around learning, around everything that you do in life. So you'll have a little assistant on your lapel or it might be in your glasses or how it gets delivered. But you've got something that is really helping you take lots and lots of decisions, reducing the cognitive load. But you can see yourself in a situation where you're walking down the high street, you walk past Marks and Spencer, it says you need to go in here and get a tuna sandwich now because I've seen your health state and you need a tuna sandwich right now, or you need to eat some fruit, or you now need to go to the gym for 20 minutes and work out this hard. It's doing all those things, or I know that you're looking for a new pair of training shoes and there's a shop 2 blocks away and they've got them on sale, and do you want me to pre-order them now and you collect them when you walk in? You'll start to do all those things for you. It becomes a proactive tool. I think that's where they're going. Whether they get all the way there in 26 is another question, but that is definitely a direction of flow for them, I would say.
That's the device that they're talking around most at the moment or it's been leaked, is this pen that's situational awareness that understands the context, that understands all the different voices in the room or on a call, and then can create the most accurate notes and meeting information and conversation points, and then it can help you basically turn that into what you need to do, who owns what, when it needs to be delivered. And it can be something that you can use in work and outside of work. I know some of the feedback that they get a lot of the time is, I don't know what to do to be most effective. I use it for work, but not at home. I've got loads of home use cases, but I don't have loads for work. And I think what this does is it bridges the gap by creating a device or having an always on device that helps. I still think an always on device is a terrible idea, as in it's going to be so resource hungry, it's going to be so expensive to handle, and it is going to put people in sticky situations when they're unaware that it's recording. A bit like what you said around the wearables and the meta glasses, but I definitely think that's the way to go. I still think they've got ways to improve it around the poor interface. Organising chats is terrible UI. It doesn't really help people, and you have to manually do it. But I do think there are loads of different useful use cases for it, and I do think OpenAI are going to be far more articulate in what they're going to be doing, and far more targeted in the decisions that they make. Should we have a couple of predictions? Do you think that will help everyone?
Yeah, I'd love to. I think one thing just to say before we get into those is this will be, well, maybe this is a prediction, Dan. This is a trust game. So this continues the now 30 years of the technology industry where, as individuals, we've been giving up privacy for the sake of utility, location information, lots of other information about ourselves that these organizations collect. Clearly, if you're going to allow an AI tool that's in a pen or on a lapel badge to learn everything about you so it can aid you better, you are giving an awful lot of privacy up there. So maybe it's number one prediction, or maybe it's just an observation, but I think this will be an individual trust game. How far do you trust these companies versus how much utility does this thing give you? They're going to need to show really good value to get people to trust it, and there'll probably be a spectrum of some do and some don't, as with everything else. Talk to me about predictions then, Dan.
So I think they're going to have a wide device play. I think it's going to include integrations with a number of large brands. I can't see why a Nike or an Under Armour or an Adidas wouldn't want to partner with them for help or for wearable clothes or trainers, etc. We've seen it with Nike with the news sliders. So I think that's an area that OpenAI will probably actively go into. I predict that they're going to change the way that they work and become more divisional. So they're going to work a little bit more like Google did and does with Gemini, and make it so it's easy to roll out and it's more aligned with certain tools and different partnerships. So I think they're going to double down in partnerships, which for me makes complete sense, because you need partners and you need their services. So you need their apps or you need their websites, etc., to have it baked in. And I can't see why Microsoft and OpenAI won't become a little bit more friendly together again and try that. And I expect them to build a load of integrations like a hub. So they already said around fitness, but I think entertainment's one that they should and will go after. And the reason why I think that is they've got Sora 2, which is their app, which Disney invested $1 billion into. But also it's going to be one that it remembers your preferences and can recommend podcasts or music or newsletters or shows to watch. It can help you choose your next bingeable show, for instance, and it can help give you all the context that you need. So something that Prime Video should be doing, and probably are, but I think that's an area. And then there's a lot of talk around acquisition, and Pinterest rumors been going around for a long time. But I do think that way of organizing things publicly and privately makes a lot of sense, especially in the board format. So it probably work and act like a Kanban board. But I do think the ways that help gather and garner more information and gives a lot of insight into knowledge and social graphs will be incredibly important. How do you think I fared, or have you got any to add, Jonathan?
I wouldn't disagree with any of those. The other one that comes to mind while you're talking, Danny's financials. Obviously, imagine an AI assistant that learned your financial risk profile and knew how much you had to invest, and then did your investing for you based on your personal risk profile and what it learned about you and your feel for spending and all that sort of stuff. Imagine if that device could super efficiently invest any spare pennies you had at any given time and then pull them out when you needed them for your normal day-to-day spending. That would be interesting. One thing you touched on there, which I think is still to be sorted. I don't think the world has arrived yet at what the right format is, the form factor. So will this thing be a pen, as you said earlier? Will it be a lapel wearable? Will it be glasses? Will it be a watch or a wristband? I think we're still at the stage where nobody's quite agreed yet or landed on the ideal wearable form of a technology device. And I think that will continue for a while yet. But when we do, I think then you see an explosion. My instinct is that the watch wristband seems to be probably the most utilitarian of those things right now. I'm not sure glasses, I mean, there's been 2 or 3 goals at glasses that are not yet caught on properly. Lapel badge 1 or 2 are trying, but I'm not sure we're all ready for that yet. So who knows? I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are, but there's a number of ways they could do this kind of wearable device, and I'm not sure we've agreed which one should be the best yet.
Apple, they've done 2 things tremendously well. When they diversified into the Apple Watch, it became instant hit. It's the biggest selling watch in the world. So I think that would be a key indicator for where people, it's a fashion accessory, it's a growth utensil, it's something that, people see and they want to know what it is. And I think it's a little bit more timely and trustful that way. And then headphones is one that Apple have been actively talking around, and I think it's called One. They've got their own headphones that has AI built in. So you have the case that has a number of different functionality in, and then the headphones. So I do think they're the 2 form factors that makes most sense and is probably a little bit more trustworthy. I do think if you have an AirPod in the meeting, people might look at you a bit funny, but that's far more respectable than having something that is on a lapel, or, it might be another extension that people just aren't ready for. I've got one question for you, actually, that the audience might ask us or would want to ask if it was a live chat around finance and your prediction around finance. I think it's something that should be a use case for them. Do you think it sort of ties in with trust and truth? Do you think there is enough trust and truth around finance for it to help people? Or do you think, and there's going to be so many risk warnings and worries that it might not roll out into being something that can be relied upon?
I think you'll get a sort of normal bell curve spread of, you'll have the people more risk happy who will use this. The classic early adopters and innovators will want to go with it. People who've got more risk appetite will go with it. There'll be a lot of financial conservatives who don't like it and don't trust it. And I would probably put myself towards the more conservative end of the curve when it comes to finance. It took me a long time to get to mobile banking on my phone, for instance, because I wasn't convinced about the security for a long time. So, I think there'll be a spread down. I think there'll be those that go after it big, and there'll be those that wait and hold on. And just to your point a minute ago about earphones as well, my son got the newest Apple EarPods over Christmas, which do the translation. And so my nephew's wife is Brazilian, so she was with us on Boxing Day, and so they did a load of Portuguese into English and vice versa. I got to say, they were all very impressed with it. It was like, it's obviously not quite perfect in terms of, but it's damn close, and it's certainly good enough. So you may get more of people wearing these things in meetings, because you sit around a table with a French guy, a German guy, a Spanish guy, and me, and we can all just speak our own language and hear what's being. I mean, that's going to be very interesting.
I think we've just found the next extension for ChatGPT and OpenAI.
There you go. Good to see you, my friend. I'll see you next time.
Thanks, Jonathan. Thanks for listening today, everyone. If you liked what you heard, please give us a rating and review in any of the podcast players. We have a supporting newsletter, which is aimoment.co.uk, that comes out on Mondays and Fridays with every pod, and we dive a little bit deeper. So please subscribe there. Have a great week, and we'll see you soon.